Hello everyone watching at home, you're with Sarv McClinton from Adelaide Eternal, bringing you another 7-minute 7-point series deck tech. This time I'm bringing you Rug Life. This is the brew that I used to go undefeated at the Adelaide Eternal Highlander Challenge in July, and it's a Temur tempo deck. It's called Rug Life because we run all of our points in only 2 cards, which is unheard of for a fair deck, so Thug Life. Now, Rug Life has a number of powerful threats. So we've got 9 threats in the early drops range is what I'll call it. There's 4 1 mana, so turn 1 threats that you really want to have. If we could run 4 Goblin Guide, we would, but we cannot. And then we have a number of 2-drop threats, Young Pyromancer, Scavenging Ooze, and Tarmogoyf. These 2-drop threats from green are amazing powerhouses. They're largely the reason to run green, along with the powerful sideboard options. Now we have 1 3-drop threat. The only reason we run this 3-drop threat is because it can be flashed in at the end of the turn on your opponent's turn, and it beats for 3 in the air, and evasion is really good. On the topic of evasion, Hooting Mandrills is very strong, mainly because of its trample effect and 4 toughness. So this guy is a really big heavy hitter, and another reason for us to be in green. Now, we have a number of other threats here that I've put into a different category. You usually don't play them on turn 2 because Jace Vryn's Prodigy is very important for the deck, and playing him on turn 3 with a counterspell backup is what you want to be doing. And Direfleet Daredevil, sometimes when you just want a first striking 2-1, he's actually really good and just deals 6 damage to your opponent before he gets removed, and when they remove him you don't really mind because their life total is low enough for you to burn them out. And as with any tempo deck, if it's turn 1 you usually drop your 1-drop. On turn 2 you try to play around your opponent's spell snare or make sure they don't have mana efficiency at any point in the game, and you play instead your 1-drop with a 1 mana counter backup, or your 2-drop with a Daze, free counter spell backup. Or you just pass the turn with your counter mana open and then play your 2-drop on turn 3, which is why we want to have a really low mana cost in our threats. If you've ever played a tempo deck, the difference between playing a tempo creature on a 3 mana tempo creature as opposed to a 2 mana tempo creature with a mana backup, counter spell backup, is huge, hence the low curve here. Now, in terms of curve, we have 2 curve toppers up here. Most of the tempo decks, let's say take Dr. Seuss for example, have a single 4 mana big threat, in the form of something like Fact or Fiction at the end of turn, that kind of a card. We have 2, so we are slightly higher converted mana cost overall, but other than that, the deck plays out very similarly to a Dr. Seuss style deck, but with more of the ability to leverage our powerhouse cards and more of a power density in individual creatures. Tarmogoyf being a 5/6 often is better than any 2-drop that Dr. Seuss can muster. So the rest of the packages here, I've got the draw package, the counter package, and the burn package. So the draw package, Gush is amazing, especially when coupled with Dack Fayden. I count him as basically looting. And then we have the usual suspects in these 4 1 mana card manipulation to some degree, card draw, filling a graveyard for a Hooting Mandrills, that kind of an effect. And we'll talk about the power a little bit later. Then we have our soft permission over here. Now we have a full, basically every possible 1 mana or less, i.e. 0 mana, interaction piece that is good. Not super situational. Things like Spell Pierce are really good in Highlander. We play all of them. And then we play also Counterspell just as this, one-of ability to just say no in the late game. But if you notice, our mana costs are actually double blue here, and that's it. So when there's a Blood Moon, which we actually get to play in the sideboard, we don't actually lock out our blue spells when we can fetch a single one of our basic islands. If we get to fetch the forest as well, that's fantastic. But remember, there's only actually half a dozen green cards in the main deck. So we can operate pretty well off just 2 of these basics here, and then just have the rest turned into mountains. Now, the burn spells here, they can be varied according to the meta, but most of them are pretty much set, like Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Fire and Ice, Price of Progress, Atarka's Command. Atarka's Command, there's really no other deck in the format aside from Zoo that can leverage Atarka's Command, and this is really the only blue deck that gets to play Atarka's Command. And this is usually 5 damage to your opponent because you have 2 creatures out to pump. But when you've got young Pyromancer out, I don't think your opponent ever really wants to see you use the +1/+1 mode there. Price of Progress is fantastic. Whilst we only have 4 basics in the deck, Price of Progress usually nets you something between 10 to 12 damage to your opponents, especially in this Greed Creep meta. And when you combine Price of Progress plus Regrowth, or Price of Progress plus Jace Vryn's Prodigy, this is essentially a 2-card combo that wins you the game, regardless of whether or not they stymied your early pressure. Now, the package here revolves around our power cards. So Ancestral Recall and Time Walk can both be fetched with Spellseeker. I wanted to play a fair deck that abuses Spellseeker, and this is it. So Spellseeker can become a Concentrate when you have 4 mana up, or it becomes a Time Warp when you have 5 mana up. But when you can couple it over 2 consecutive turns, it's really, really good. Regrowth allows you to loot Time Walks. Usually when you play a single Time Walk in the game, you'll pull far enough ahead of your opponent to be able to essentially win the game. It's not always assured, but it's close. Now, when you loop a Time Walk with a Regrowth or a Time Walk with Jace Vryn's Prodigy, it's essentially game over. The same happens with Ancestral Recall and Jace Vryn's Prodigy, or Ancestral Recall and Regrowth and then Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Drawing 9 cards off this card is really, really good, obviously, but usually if you get to abuse one of these 2 cards, not just get it by itself, but abuse it once, you've essentially won the game. Now let's have a look at our sideboard package. We've got 3 different packages here. We've got the anti-control package. It's only 5 cards because we're already very good against control, fundamentally being a tempo deck. And we also have this little flex slot over here, Rishon and Port. You know, if your meta has a lot of lands-based decks, this can be okay. But if you're losing to Marit Large, you might have to choose something else for this because it only works in a very fragile sense. But Port allows you to lock out Greed Creep, and that's what we want to do. Against control decks, it's fantastic, tapping them off their counter spells, deploying a threat and then passing the turn, or tapping them in their upkeep, or at the end of their turn, tapping them again. So Seed Time allows you to have an additional Time Walk in the deck, which is fantastic, and obviously the rest of the usual suspects need no explanation. Against creature decks, Submerge, Anger of the Gods are fantastic. Arc Trail is really, really good in this deck because often you do 1 damage to a Noble Hierarch and 2 damage to their face, and it's a lot more flexible than Searing Blaze, but it allows you to kill Deathrite Shaman and Noble Hierarch, which is great. Against Built from Scrap, you've got the 2 anti-red cards, and you've also got the anti-artifacts and enchantment package here. Trigon Predator with Evasion is a fantastic tempo threat too. Blood Moon, we get to play this because we've got the basics and we can operate off the single island and forest. And then we've got our anti-graveyard package. So if you like the look of Rug Life and you want to tell your opponent, hey, Thug Life, I'm a fair deck with just 2 cards that are pointed, sleeve this up and tell me what you think.